Okay, let's talk about Elon Musk and what he said about the tax bill that's coming up that they're pushing. So Elon Musk rips Democrats' billionaire tax plan that could slap him with a $10 billion annual bill. This is an insider story. On Monday, he criticized the Democratic tax proposal that would target American billionaires to fund a safety net expansion, saying it represented the start of a new campaign from Democrats to redistribute wealth from the richest Americans. Eventually, they run out of other people's money, and then they come for you, he wrote on Twitter. In a separate tweet, Musk said any government-induced reallocation of wealth would be better managed by the private sector. Who is best at capital allocation, government or entrepreneurs, is indeed what it comes down to. Musk could face up to $50 billion in taxes for the first 5 years under the plan if implemented. And I'll continue for the next story as well, and then we'll talk about it. CNN, this is another story, 2% of Elon Musk's wealth would save world hunger, says director of UN Food Scarcity Organization. Billionaires need to step up now on a one-time basis, said the director of the United Nations World Food Program, citing specifically the world's two richest men, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, $6 billion to help 42 million people that are literally going to die if we don't reach them. It's not complicated. Musk has a net worth of $289, meaning that the Beasley is asking for a donation of just 2% of his fortune. The net worth of U.S. billionaires has almost doubled since the pandemic began, standing at $5 trillion in October. So, thoughts? Danielle, I'm going to go to you first. With what Elon said about the $10 billion tax bill per year and redistributing the wealth.
So, I mean, there are two sides to this story, right? And part of it has to do with the fact that as a country, we haven't really paid attention to the disparity for way too long between CEO pay and worker pay. So there's something to be said for if you've got a great employee, pay the great employee what they're worth. And that hasn't happened for a long time. And the way that shareholder value is formed, the way that CEOs get compensated, the value of their stock holdings, it does look like everything is going into more and more, fewer and fewer hands. So, but to say that somebody who's created all of these jobs needs to be taxed to kingdom come, instead of let charity be charitable. Look at what some of these foundations have done around the world in terms of medicine, healthcare. A lot of these people are very charitable. If they're not, fine. But trying to go after just a few individuals is kind of short-sighted in my view, because a lot of these people are heroes to young American kids, and they aspire to grow up and be entrepreneurs like them. Are they though? Because, each generation, to me, whoever's in power in politics can redictate what a hero looks like, and it confuses the hell out of kids. So, if you're Xi Jinping and you're Jack Ma, but we're not that kind of a country yet. But wait a minute. Go to Berkeley. Go to a Columbia University. I'm a 19-year-old kid going to school. Do you really think 80% of professors are selling Elon Musk as a hero? Do you think professors at these universities are saying you ought to grow up and be like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos? Or do you think they're saying you ought to grow up and be like AOC and you ought to grow up and be somebody that's giving back? You ought to grow up. What do you think they're selling as a hero? So the kid, if you ever watch the parents who raise kids who win, if you're around the parents long enough, obviously some of the credit goes to the kids, which is half the credit is kids, because the kids are the ones that are going to go do the work. But the other half is, what is the mom and dad selling as success? Is it money? Is it who you are as a leader? Is it giving back? Is it, making the world a better place? Is it creating jobs? Is it creating economies? Is it finding your passion? It's independence. Independence. Okay, perfect. So do you really think that's what's being sold as hero? Hell no. Well, then that's the problem. So Elon Musk today is not a hero to 90% of academia. Danielle, okay, well, 90% of academia, but you have to know that it's like, a funnel, right? A funnel, like what does a funnel look like? It looks like something like this, okay? Yep. All right, so we're going through what? K through 12, whatever you want to put it, K through 6, and then you got middle, and then you got junior high, and then you got high school, and then you got college, and then you got career, right? I'm going through this funnel. Well, at this funnel here, when I get to the college side, 90% of them are going to demonize Elon Musk. So the kid is going to say, screw this Elon Musk guy. Why should he be so rich? The hell with Jeff Bezos. The hell with Buffett. The hell with Bill Gates. These guys are a bunch of schmucks and greedy people. Okay, so I've got, my oldest is applying to college right now. Okay. And Berkeley? Hell no. But UCLA. Good schools, by the way. Yeah. But
I will tell you that his generation is very aware of wokeness, and they want to be able to maintain their conservative values in college, and they push back against a lot of the teachers that they've had in high school, and they come and they talk to their parents and they say, I'm not going to be indoctrinated. So I think because of social media, because this is a generation that's grown up with social media, we didn't. Because there's so much more out there that kids can read on their own. Again, I go back to the word independent. As long as you tell your children, just because somebody says something to you and they appear to be in a position of authority, that doesn't make it true. You have to go back and check for yourself. But I will say that I am pleasantly surprised with this generation of 17, 18, 19-year-olds who are aware that they're trying to be manipulated mentally.
Yeah, but you said something very powerful right now, Danielle. So what percentage of parents you think tell their kids, listen to your teachers? Listen to what your teacher has to say.
Question.
Listen to your teacher.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to answer your question.
Please.
I'm going to answer your question because Texas is...
Not you. I said majority.
I understand.
Go for it.
I understand. Texas has been on the receiving end, so has Florida, of people escaping high state income tax.
Big flux of people coming in, yes.
But what we're starting to hear in Texas, also from Californians who are coming in, is I don't even want to flirt with critical race theory coming into my schools. I'm moving to get away from this education system, period, and I want to raise my family in an area where they can think independently.
It's good. You know what that says, though?
It's not just an economic decision to leave California, is what I'm saying.
No, but that's two things. So the question wasn't answered, but I'm going to come back to the question. But here's what I just got from what you just said. What you just said is the following. Think about the people in New York, Jersey, Illinois, California that don't want to leave, that they're hopeful that it's going to change. The people they need to stay are leaving. Let me say this one more time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine you're living in California, like, dude, I can't leave. My family's here. My aunt's here, my mom's here, my grandma's here. I can't leave this place. Well, guess what? This ain't flipping because those people are leaving to states like Texas and Florida.
Yeah, and it's killing their tax basis.
Of course it is. But the question I'm asking is the following. What percentage of parents tell their kids, listen to your teachers?
I don't know.
I think it's a lot lower percentage than it was.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with that, but it's still a high number, though.
It is, but you know what? Because you have a different view of public school teachers' unions over the last year and a half.
Oh, they have done this to themselves.
Yeah. So I think that number is going down very, very quickly.
I mean, when you have Andrew Yang come out and say, enough with the New York public.
Forward party, yeah.
Enough with the New York teachers' unions. Let the parents go back to work. Let the kids go back to school. You're taking a whole year of these kids' education in very formative years. When somebody like Andrew Yang is saying enough with the unions, I mean, that's powerful because people like that have a voice that speaks not just to conservatives, but to a lot of Americans. So again, I think the unions have done Americans in general, parents in general, a great favor over the last 2 years because now we know that they're not advocates for our kids at all. They're advocates for themselves.
What they called parents this week. You saw the big controversy going back and forth. Did you see that?
No, but I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
It was where they're trying to control. Teach critical race theory. Parents are coming out saying you ain't bringing CRT to my school. Listen, just because I don't support CRT doesn't mean I'm racist. I don't want to talk about this. And they said, well, the parents are the real threat and we have to get involved and do this. And no, we are not the threat. Then they apologize because of what they wrote. Then another position. Anyways, it's a mess right now because school boards, think about the school boards across the country. Are they ran by people on the left or the right?
Left. Well, left, 100%.
Majority. So you know what?
I live in the wrong school.
They're borderline militant.
But really. you know what I will say to you. You know what I will say to you. I was thinking
and we send our kids to military school, so the opposite end of the spectrum.
I was thinking about this morning when I'm driving down here. When people make the argument, they say, "You should have half your board should be women and men. You should. The board should be your administration. It should be men, women." And, gay community, representation for every community. You know what I say to that? I said, no problem. You know what? That should happen? Let's apply it everywhere. 50% of professors should be conservative. No, well, no, not there. No, we should do that. I think you're right. Let's do that. 50% of the board of all the school boards in America should be run by conservatives.
That's a great line to have.
Why don't we do that? Let's do that moving forward.
Let's create a hashtag, okay? Okay? Ideologically inclusive. Shall we?
Yeah. Go for it. They would never support that. Are you kidding me? They would never support that.
I mean, that's what's wrong with so many of the not just educational institutions.
But
that's wrong. That's what's wrong with places like the Federal Reserve. You put 786 PhDs in economics in one organization, you know what you're going to get? The same friggin' thought.
You know, I'll tell you, one of the best moments for me in this past year is my older daughter is a teacher. She graduated from Pepperdine, and she's a great, great teacher. And she got a job in a private school. And I'm so relieved that she doesn't have to be in the LA Unified Teachers Union. I'm so grateful. And it's such a different world, such a different experience when you're in a private school environment. She's so lucky.
I was in Santa Monica a few weeks ago filming with the great Jeffrey Gunlack. Thank you very much. If you didn't watch that episode, please do.
Go check it out.
But I was having a conversation with a parent of kids in private school. Do you know, you probably know, that they didn't let the private schools open. The LA Teachers Union wouldn't let private schools that wanted to open with safety protocols open. They said if we have to be closed, the public school system has to be closed down, so does the private school system. I'm like, that can't be legal. That just can't be legal. I mean, when you hear these things that are coming out of California,
it's the madness.
And the parents are still paying these enormous tuitions, and their kids can't even be in the classroom.
Yeah. You know, can I make a point on this Musk
Go for
situation here? You know, the thing that really gets me, and I know a lot of other people, is it's just a plan like this is just so insulting. And it's so unimaginative if you think about it, because they're asking us to believe that if you did receive $50 billion from Elon Musk, you would know what to do with it, right? You could solve hunger. What does that mean? That they would get one meal a day, every single hungry person, and the rest would be red tape or whatever? No one trusts them that they would know what to do with this money. The other thing, too, is obscene wealth or the mega wealthy has almost become a new sport in this country. Like, people go to Forbes like they used to go to box scores in the sporting news.
Oh, yeah.
You know, who's gone up? Elon Musk went up $36 billion on Monday because of the Hertz deal, right? So it's unbelievable. So if I was an uber wealthy person, I think they'd be a little hesitant about this being out there so much because, hell, at VT Post, we could do a story on it every single day. There's something new in that world of the mega wealthy. Yep. And it's interesting. It's fun. It's fun stories to do. And here's the other thing. A guy like Elon Musk, for instance, how liquid is he? Like, if you try to give him a $50 billion tax bill, it's not like he can pay that. Right. I mean, it's not like he has that lying around. And the final thing is, could you imagine if they forced Elon Musk to pay $50 billion or a Zuckerberg or some of these guys? What would that do to the stock price? It would kill everybody that's an investor in Tesla. So it's just so unimaginative and so insulting when they come up with these ideas because they grab headlines. They're catchy, but it just shows how small thinkers that they are.
Yeah, and then Manchin says, excuse me. And then we move on to the next plan. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Manchin said, excuse me, and then it had to get all dropped. Bye-bye.
I've two things on this, which is interesting, because part of the key point that he says is who is best at capital allocation, government or entrepreneurs, is indeed what it comes down to. And I completely agree with that. Like, first of all, the whole tax bill is a slippery slope. If you're going to start, where are they going to stop it, right? Once they get the door open, they'll swing it wide open and blow a hole in the wall while they're at it. So no doubt that piggybacking on what Tom's saying is that you need to have, what is it for? It's not a blank check. What is it being used for? And at that point, it could be like, okay, and that's where donations and coming in and being able to donate your money of, oh, I see what this is going for. This is going for X, Y, Z. I want to be a part of that. I want to invest in that, or I want to gift you guys this. The other thing is with hunger, which is interesting, is that in the world right now, there's more obese people than there are nourished.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, there's 108 billion pounds of food in the U.S. alone that goes to waste. That is $160 billion in food. And actually, surprisingly, it's almost 40% of the food in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, there are some great restaurateurs out there that make an effort every single day they close to get the food banks the extra food as opposed to throwing it away. I mean, it's an effort. You've got to have an extra employee on hand to do it, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
Instead of putting it in the dumpster.
And stop and think about it. When you roll through a restaurant or something high end like that, you're going, where does all this food go?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been to Italy? It's a fun little place, nice little Italian vibe there, but they have so much food on display, and you're going, where does this go if someone's not buying it? Right? Do they throw it out?
Most of the time they do, yeah.
Here's a good tip. If you go to Randy's Donuts at the end of the day, you could probably get a dozen if you pay for one because they just throw them out. We've been there. If it closes at 8, they'll just say, hey, you need a dozen donuts.
Yeah.
Go there right before the donut
This is Economics 101.
closes, yeah.
Save that money.
Maybe the biggest tip of the day you just gave.
Yes.
Legendary tip right there. You change people's lives.
Go to the donut shop right before it closes.
Because that puts 16 cents into context.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.